Welcome to the MECC in Salford Understanding the Factors Which Influence Wellbeing presentation. My name's Mike Hope. I'm a trainer with the MECC in Salford delivery team, and I'm going to take you through these slides for this short presentation. Let's just start by reminding ourselves that this presentation is relevant to one of the MECC skills you've probably seen already on the MECC in Salford website. It's understanding the factors which influence well-being that this covers from the issues affecting well-being set of skills. So let's start by looking at a definition of well-being. This one says it is the subjective state of being healthy, happy, contented, comfortable and satisfied with one's quality of life. It includes physical, material, social, emotional, happiness and development and activity dimensions. So that from the Department of Health, written in 2007. A little bit wordy, I think. So let's look at another one. This calls well-being a good or satisfactory condition of existence, a state characterised by health, happiness and prosperity. A little bit better, I think. That's from dictionary.com. Whichever definition you want to use, it's clearly quite a broad state of being well-being. It covers lots of things, so lots of factors are going to affect it. And here's how some academics have looked at it. Darger and Whitehead have put together this theory that sort of builds layers of influence on our well-being. Right in the middle there you can see age, sex and hereditary factors, things that are beyond our control, I suppose, yet do affect our well-being. Then upon that we've got individual lifestyle factors, the choices we make, the decisions we make, they affect our well-being. Then on top of that, social and community influences, the people around us, what influence they have. Living and working conditions are another one. And then finally, general social, economic, cultural and environmental conditions. So quite a good way to explain this is to give an example. Here's an example then, healthy weight. So going back to the middle, if we look at age, sex and hereditary factors, in the case of healthy weight, our genes affect them. Nothing we can do about it, but it does affect how much we weigh. If we then move up and look at individual lifestyle factors, an example of that would be what we choose to eat. So the decisions we make day to day, choosing one thing over another. Moving up to social and community influences, well, what we've learnt to cook affects what we've come to eat, and we pick that up from our family, our friends. That's been picked up from the social community influences. Then living and working conditions, well, an example of that for healthy way would be, well, what's available to buy locally. If there's nothing much healthy to eat, it's hard to eat healthily. And then finally, the general social, economic, cultural and environmental conditions. Here we get really big and look at, say, the global supply and demand of food. So what is going on a global level in terms of demand of food, and what farmers produce affects what ends up in our shops and what's affordable to buy. Now, whilst it's important that we are aware of all these factors, I think it's important to point out that this is where making every contact count in Salford comes in. So MECC is seeking to influence the individual lifestyle factors predominantly, what we choose to eat being the example from healthy weight. So now let's have a look at what are the determinants of well-being, and we've decided to by dividing it up into two broad groups, lifestyle factors and wider determinants of health. I think what's important to point out is these wider determinants might be things that directly impact on our well-being, or they might be things that influence the lifestyle factors, which have a much more sort of direct, obvious influence on our well-being. Let's get some examples up to illustrate that. So we've got quite a lot up here, so you can see quite a few lifestyle factors that you'd probably expect to see. So we've got things like smoking in there, we've got stress as well, so things that have an immediate impact on our health, or an obvious impact on our health at least. Then in the wider determinants, well, we've got things like money and debts, education, crime and fear of crime, another one. And those might stand alone, or, in the example of money and debts, well, that could affect someone's decision to give up smoking or continue smoking. So it's very common, I'm sure, for people working in smoking cessation services to hear that you just can't give up smoking at the moment because they're too worried about their money problems, their debt problems. So what MECC is trying to do is influence that, recognise that if you want someone to give up, say, smoking in this example, then it might be that first up you've got to deal with their other issues, so something like their worries about debt. Let's whittle it down a bit, because Salford's made some decisions on what it wants to focus upon. Smoking is one that we're looking at, physical activity, healthy weight, alcohol, sexual health and emotional health being the lifestyle factors that we've got in mind. Then in the wider determinants, we've got housing, welfare benefits and tax credits, employment, money and debt, accident prevention for children, a new addition for phase 2, and another new one, cancer, or in particular the promotion of early presentation of cancer symptoms, something we want to look at. So we've whittled it down a bit there. That will acquire more issues, more topics over time, but that's what we were looking at for the time being. So to recap then and finish this short presentation, we need to remember that many things affect our well-being. Some of those are within our control and some are not. And people in Salford may need help with one factor before moving to another. So thanks for listening to this presentation.